everybody, it's Katie, the Celestial Homebody, and welcome to another week of What I Crocheted. I know that we're kind of giving Joe Goldberg vibes today with the baseball cap, but I just got this in the mail. This is one of my new merchandise items, and I just had to wear it today. It's a crochet hook with yarn that the yarn is kind of like abstractly spelling the word mama, and as a mama, that's why I designed it. But I feel like I look like I'm wearing a wig. I don't know. I think my hair might be too thick to wear like baseball caps with my hair down, but I just had to wear it today. I'm excited about it. You can get it on my website if you're interested. It's www.thecelestialhomebody.com. I'll link it down in the description box. Anywho, I know that you're not here to hear about my hat insecurities. You're here to learn what I crocheted this week, and I have a couple of really fun things to show you guys, including a new design that I just finished up this week for a new pattern that I am doing a pattern tester call for, so stay tuned for all of that info. But also I had a couple of commissions this week, which I am like just stunned by, because I got like 5 commissions like from different people messaging me all this week. I only got around to doing 3 of them this week because they were all, well, 2 of the 3 were very complex and time consuming. So I'm going to show you guys those today, of course. Let's start with the more boring generic things. So you guys might know that I have a festival market coming up in September, the 3rd weekend of September. I'll put it right here on the screen. It is the Greensburg Fall Festival, and it is a completely free event. So if you are in or around Indiana and you want to come say howdy to me, I would love that. You don't have to say howdy. You can just say hi or hello or good day, madam, whatever suits your fancy. But for that market, I need to prep a few things, and by need to, I really just mean I would like to stock some things. I don't really need to stock anything. To be honest with you guys, I am set in terms of market prepping. I probably have $10,000 plus in inventory. Although that being said, you guys have just gone ham on my website and bought like all of my large plushies, and I am so incredibly grateful for it. I don't know if you guys can see, but the counter back there says 164 orders. Last week it was just barely over 100, so that is just mind-boggling to me that we've had that many orders come through. But all of this to say that most of my big plushies are gone, and I am happier that they are going to you guys who watch the videos and are, you know, see something here on screen and that you're able to actually get home to you. I was really deciding on whether or not I wanted to put my plushies on the website, but I decided for my big one, like big ticket ones, like I do not put anything under like $50 on the website unless it's a clearance item that I just want to get out of my body bags. I was debating on whether or not I wanted to put them up, because I was like, I kind of want the inventory, but I would rather have them go to you. But I don't know how much I have in inventory now, because I have not updated Square since before PopCon, so I have no idea how much in inventory I actually have. I just do know that some of my bigger items are running low because I've been posting them on the website and then selling them there. So I really need to get around to making some bigger plushies, which is fine because I enjoy making the bigger stuff as opposed to the little items. You guys, if you've been around, you know me. You know that I get bored if I am making the same thing over and over again. All that being said, though, I made the same thing over and over again this week. Oh, somebody's messaging me on Etsy. So I made a bunch of little octos. So this was one of the things where I was like, I would like to make a couple of these for the fall festival. They sold decently well for me last year. I want to say I brought 8 or 10, and I did sell out of all of them at $6 a pop. So I think I'm going to raise the price on them this year and do $8 on them. And I do still think that they're going to sell well. Last year was really like the start of my market journey, so I did not have a ton of inventory, and I completely sold out at that market with the exception of like 5 things. I actually have a market recap video. If you are newer to the Celestial Homebody channel, you might have not seen it because it was posted, it was one of my very first videos. So in January of this year, I will link it at the end of this video. You can click on the end card if you're interested in seeing last year's Fall Festival market recap. My office looks so different in that video, by the way. I have a lot more yarn now, and I'm not even sorry about it. But anywho, I would like to have made a couple of octos, so that's exactly what I did this week. So I made a couple in different yarns, a few different variegated. So this yarn is the burnout tie-dye that I use. I've actually used this yarn in a couple of past this week's makes, but I was having trouble with this yarn where, so it's, as you can tell, it's variegated, and how it's supposed to go is dark teal, white, light mint, and then white, and then repeat the pattern. But what was happening is I was getting portions in this skein where it would only switch between the dark teal and the white, and then portions of this skein where it would only go between the mint and the white. So this is what things were coming out to. And when you're doing one large project, it would be sections of dark and then sections of light, and it looked very wrong and inconsistent. So I figured that this skein might be faulty, although I did get a comment, I think it was last week, maybe the week before on this week's makes, saying that that's just how the burnout tie-dye-ish is. So leave me a comment if you have used that yarn, if this is your experience with it as well. I don't know if it's maybe just this colorway. Don't know, ask me what it's called. I don't know. It's this minty teal one. It's really cute. I had to have it when I saw it just because I thought that the colors were just soft, and you guys know how I love pastels, but also I really like variegateds that aren't super drastic. So that is really what drew me to this, and I was bummed because the first half of the skein was fine. It was color changing beautifully. I got halfway done about with the skein, and then I'm starting to get this issue. So I figured the octas were a good thing to do this with because it's not the end of the world if it pools oddly in this small of a project. So I made 2 in this tie-dye-ish, plus it's oceanic color, oceanic, like from Lost, you know, the airline, the fake airline. And so I thought that that was appropriate for the octos. I also used some of this burnout sparkly, and sparkly never shows up on camera very well, but this is teal sparkle, and I would really like to just get through this skein. You can probably tell just by looking at it that this is old formula stiff burnout. Okay, some things we like stiff. Yarn is not one of those things. So I would really like to either use this up or donate it or just get rid of it. Oh, side note, by the way, speaking of getting rid of yarn, in the next upcoming weeks, I have a humongous yarn order coming from Premier Yarns. Affiliate link in the description box, BT dubs. And also Elise Voluto and Carrie at Traveling Pony Studio sent me some of her new yarn line to try. So I'm gonna have a huge yarn haul to show you guys, and we need to make some room. And I would also like to do some rearranging in our stash here, and also get rid of some skeins that I do not use anymore. I'm planning to get rid of pretty much all of my Parfait Chunky because I prefer using thicker yarns now, and with the Premier coming out with the new Parfait Plush, it pretty much replaces the Parfait Chunky for me because it's everything that Parfait Chunky is, but thicker. And we like it thick, but not stiff. I need a sip. Hang on. Look at me drinking water like a big girl. Hydrate or dihydrate, right? Okay. Anyways, that tangent is just to say that look forward to a yarn room makeover / yarn haul vlog video coming in the near future. So 2 stiff teal sparkly octos, and then I also had some of the Premier Chenille Basics tie-dye left over. We looked at that yarn a couple of episodes ago in this week's makes. They have beautiful, beautiful variegated tie-dye colors. And I know that I just talked about not loving like super drastically different colored variegateds, but something about the tie-dyes is just different, because look at how pretty these octos came out to. There's some of my hair on it. That's just a bonus. You just get my DNA for free when you purchase an octo. I dropped one of them. Oh gosh. Get it together, Katie. So anyways, this is Tropic something. I don't know, but it's one of the Premier tie-dye shades, and it definitely gives beach ball, tropic, just beachy vibes. So again, thought it was appropriate for the octo. I would have liked to do a bunch in this colorway. Unfortunately, I only had enough to do 2 full-size octos, and then I had just a tiny bit left, so I did a little baby octo. So there's the difference. This one is probably just going to go in my claw machine, and it only has 5 tentacles because I ran out of yarn. So I was like, oh crap, I guess he's just going to be an amputee octo. So I have one of these. If it doesn't fit in the claw machine, I might slap a keychain on it and then throw it in the keychain bin. TBD, we'll see. But I just wanted to use up that skein because I have more of that yarn coming soon whenever we get around to opening it. Actually, I have all of it sitting over there. I would show you, but I don't want to mess up the angle. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that is a total of 6 regular size octos, 1 baby. So that is a good start. I would like to have a couple more. I don't want to go ham on making them because, like I said, they weren't phenomenal sellers. If I remember correctly, and you can actually correct me if I'm wrong after watching that market recap, the little baby octopi did not really sell until I was almost out of everything else. And as I mentioned, that was one of my first markets. So I think it might have been my first, I don't know, I don't remember. But anyways, it was toward the beginning and I did not have a lot of inventory. So when I was doing that breakdown video, I categorized it as bestsellers, like that went first, things that did not sell until there wasn't much left, and then things that sold very last, because like I said, I sold out of pretty much everything. So I couldn't really rank it by bestsellers, worst sellers, because I really only had one-off things, maybe 2 or 3 of each. But yeah, I don't know. People in my area don't seem to be into the sea creatures, but I am in a rural farm town. And people here tend to be more like, people loved the possums and the cows last year, not so much the octos. So maybe that has something to do with it. I don't know. I just think that these are quick, easy. I don't need to explain making market octos to you. You know exactly what I'm talking about. But I will say, if you have variegated yarn that you don't have no idea what to use it on, my 2 go-tos are either an octopus or a turtle shell. So there you go. You can just whip out those turtle shells or those octos to get rid of your stash of variegateds that you're not using on anything else. Before I get to showing you all of the commissions that I did, let me show you, I think this is really the only other thing that I made of my own free will, besides the pattern that I designed. So you might have heard of Snugglebeans Crochet. She is a seller on Etsy and recently released a bunch of these adorable little splooting critters in pattern form, of course, and I have had my eye on one of them, that being the froggy, because frogs are typically really good sellers. I actually mentioned this in my market bestseller video that I uploaded a few weeks ago. Creators really all across the board say that frogs tend to be up there with their bestsellers. I don't know why that is, but I felt like I needed a frog because I do not have any frogs at my table right now. And I thought that doing one of these little splooting ones would be cute. So this is what he looks like. And as you can tell, I gave him a little red bow tie and these smiling eyes because I was kind of going for like a Keroppi inspired, you know, the Sanrio character Keroppi inspired character here with the frog. And I don't know about the bow tie. It looked a lot better in my mind's eye. I think with the way that like his head goes down, it kind of smushes it. So these are meant to be able to sit up like this. But in my case, when mine sits up like this, it looks like he's like looking upward. I don't know if I should have put his eyes down a little bit more, or because of the bow tie, his head isn't flopping all the way. That might actually be the case. But they can sit like this, or they sploot like this. And if you don't know what a sploot is, it's when an animal, usually a dog, lays. It's a way for animals to cool off. So they'll put their paws out in front and then stick their cute little chicken thighs out the back. And it cools their belly off. So Jovi and Paisley lay like this all the time, specifically Jovi. And when she does, we call her little pot-belly pig because she always rolls over and then her little pink belly shows, and she's a national treasure. We love that little girl. She's actually splooting right down here right now. I would show you, but again, I don't want to mess up the angle on the camera. But anyways, so I wanted to do the frog, and as I mentioned, I did these smile eyes. Now these are actually safety eyes that are curved to look like it's smiling. And I love the look of these, but I think that I should have saved these eyes for a larger surface area, because on these little spheres here, they stick out just a little bit, and then like they can easily be peeled up, and I really don't like that. So I'm hoping whoever purchases this is maybe an adult or like an older child and not a young kid who will pick at these and pull them out. But they're in now. I tried gently removing them to see if I could, because then I would have gone the felt route, and they're not coming out. They're in there really good. It might have been this pattern in particular that was a little tricky. So the eyes in particular, so everything is supposed to be crocheted together in this pattern, even the eyes. So you're supposed to do like 6 in the round. That's how you're ending with, and then later you crochet to the body. But the problem that I was having is that there was no tail on the eyeball. It was literally just a ball that was stuffed, and then it wanted you to close that ball to crochet it in. Hopefully my hand gestures are trying to paint the picture of what I'm trying to say here. But I was having trouble with that. It could have been because I stuffed the eyes too heavily, too firmly. I am a firm stuffer. That's what he said. And so that might have been causing the issue as I was trying to close the back of the eye to crochet it. But anyways, I did end up sewing it, and it all ended up being okay. These are very cute little critters. I am really interested in getting her the mouse one is adorable, as well as the fawn or the deer. Oh my gosh, they are so stinking cute. Oh, I did weight this as well. So if you guys saw Friday's vlog, thank you all for the love on that video, by the way. That was a beast to edit. It wasn't one of my longer vlogs, but whenever I do a week in the life, that is a lot of little clips over multiple days that I have to like try to remember what day was what, and like it was just a beast to edit. So I really appreciate all of you guys who watched Friday's video, and y'all seem to love it too, so I really appreciate you. But in that video, I had put together a little organza, I think that's what the material is, a little organza bag of poly pellets that I was going to put in one of last week's makes, but it ended up not fitting. It was actually going to go into the little fuzzy bee, if you saw last week's episode, but it did not fit. It was just too bulky for that little bee body. So I had it sitting there. I ended up putting it in this. Honestly, I completely forgot that this was weighted until I was feeling it, and I'm like, that's even firmer than how I normally stuff. And then I felt the pellets in there. Those pellets do not weigh much at all. I don't know, it is very, very lightly weighted, but I do think that it adds a little specialness to the splooting animal. You know, it's kind of like a comfort thing if you just have them lay on you like that. It's not a ton of weight, but then again, this is coming from somebody who gave birth to a 23-inch long baby and had all that weight sitting on her organs for 9 months. So anyways, one little splooting frog. By the way, speaking of that little 23-inch long baby, thank you to everybody who came to our live stream last week on Thursday for Sawyer Stitches. If you did not know, we are doing a crochet and knit for charity project this year for Sawyer Stitches. It is in honor of my son Sawyer, who sadly passed away at 17 hours old due to birth complications. But we are donating crocheted hats and blankets in his honor to hospitals around the globe for babies who have passed, who need some sort of blanket covering or hat in the hospital, and possibly even for their funeral as well. So we are doing live streams all through the months of August, September, and into October. And then at the end, we will be donating everything that we crochet to our local hospitals. So if you're interested in joining us for our next live stream, that is going to be up on the screen right now. I will put all of the dates and times for those live streams. We have a really good time on lives. It's just casual crochet chit chat. You guys can ask me questions about crochet, yarn, random things. We just have a really good time. So I hope that you guys can join us for the next one. Even if you're not crocheting for this cause, but just joining us just to hang out, I appreciate you either way. Also, speaking of Sawyer, if I do not respond to your guys' comments on this video, it is because the day that you're watching this, if you're watching it on premiere day on Monday, August 11th, today is the anniversary of Sawyer's passing. So Ryan and I are taking the entire weekend off. I'm recording this video early actually, so that way we can take his birthday on August 10th and August 11th off. So I will be offline for those couple of days just in mourning and remembrance of him. So that is why I will be AFK for a few days. But anyways, thank you for sitting with me through all of that. Okay, let's get to the first thing that I made for commission this week. We'll start with the smallest of all of them. So Courtney reached out to me a few months ago actually and asked if I would be interested in doing a couple of commissions for her. And I told her I have Comic-Con coming up, I have PopCon coming up, I have the Renaissance Festival coming up. I just have too much to do currently for market prep, but message me in like late July and we'll talk about it. So she did message me and I was very, very happy to start on her commissions for her. I have a couple of more to do. I only finished one this week. So I just picked one to start with, and she wants a couple of Pokemon actually for her commission. So we started with Magikarp. So she actually requested that it was just in the size of like the Chonkymon that I make. The pattern is by Naughty Nat on Instagram. The Chonkymon fit like in the palm of your hand. And I said with Magikarp, I don't want to do it that small because I'm going to lose some detail with the plush yarn unless I were to do part of it like in acrylic, which I didn't want to. So I asked her if she was okay with it being like a two-handed Magikarp, and she said yes. So this is the Pokemon Magikarp. Look at those lips. That is a face only a mother could love. Look at those. Courtney Cox, Angelina Jolie. Who else has big lips in Hollywood? So despite how small this is, this was actually a lot of work. The good news is that I was able to use a free pattern that I found on some blog page. I will link it down the description box for you. And it ended up being an okay size even out of the chenille, despite the fact that the pattern was actually written for acrylic yarn. But this was a lot of work. This was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 parts to make separately and sew. And then also for the little eyes, you could probably tell that they're just tiny little pinpoint eyes. And I did not have any safety eyes this small, so I just used a very, very fine paintbrush and a little bit of black acrylic paint and just did a little tiny dab of paint. But honestly, the little tiny pupils are really what give him his iconic look. That and his lips. The pattern was pretty easy to follow. Like, the basic shape of the body is pretty much just a football shape, so that was easy. I did run into some issues with the fins though, as well as the fact that the fins weren't really labeled. Like, it said dorsal fin ×2, so I just deduced that one was for the top, one was for the bottom, even though, I don't know, marine biologists out there, is the bottom fin also called a dorsal fin? Or is it called a subdorsal fin? Regardless, I just figured it out. And then there was also no like attachment instructions. So the first time I made the tail, I actually had to scrap it because I made the tail and then I tried sewing it on where the orange was going this way. I sewed it on and then I was like, that doesn't look right. So I looked back at the picture again, and sure enough, the fin I had sewn on backwards just because I was going off of memory and I could have sworn that the orange was going this way. But I was like, the shape doesn't look right because it was like it was a semicircle. So I had to scrap the fin because it was already sewn in, so I had to cut it out because I would have rather cut the fin yarn as opposed to the body yarn. But fortunately, it didn't take me too long to redo it. So other than those couple of things, the pattern was pretty easy to follow. Just if you're planning on making one of these, just know that there's no attachment instructions for all of the little accessories, so you just have to guesstimate based on the picture. The next couple of commissions that I'm doing for her, one is another Pokemon and then another is just another creature. So I'm going to be working on those in the next couple of weeks after Ryan and I get back from our little staycation. Okay, let me take a break from showing you the commissions that I did this week and show you the pattern that I wrote. So you might know that I am also a digital artist and I sell stickers that I make of my art on Etsy and on my website that I mentioned earlier. So this is one of my personal favorite art designs that I've done and stickers that I have on offer. And the reason that is twofold. Firstly, I love pastels and I call this sticker the Pastel Nessie sticker because all of her little fins, her little pointy bits are pastel colors. But in addition, I also love Scotland and all of its mythical creatures and everything. So Nessie, of course, is included in that. So I wanted to plushify this sticker. 1, 2, 3. Here she is, my little Nessie, Miss America. So here is my pastel Nessie in crochet form. What do you think? How did I do? Now, I know that there are a ton of Nessie patterns out there, sea monster patterns out there, if you will, but this one is different because this pattern that I wrote is actually modular. So the body style is the same, the head, the neck, and the body, but you can decide which tail style you want, if you want spikes or a frill, and you can also decide if you want flippers or if you want legs to make it a dinosaur. So I am calling this pattern design Nessie, the monster, and Lassie the dinosaur. And I unfortunately did not have time this week to actually fully make a Lassie the dinosaur. I did make a leg so that I could, make sure that I was writing the pattern correctly, but I just did not fully sew it on. I just did it enough to take a picture of it for the pattern. But I would like this upcoming week or maybe the week after to actually make a dino version of this pattern. As you can tell, she's huge. This is not a market prep pattern. This isn't like a little sea monster that you're going to sell for 20 bucks. This is like a gift for your child or grandchild or a friend, or to sit on your bed or on your couch. Now mine came out extraordinarily large because I use a 7mm hook, as well as Loops and Threads Fluffy Flex, which you can no longer get at Michael's, and I'm sad about it. This yarn has mixed opinions from what I've heard. Some people like me love it because I think that it's fun, it's festive, it looks like funfetti, and I absolutely love the pastel color palette that it comes in. But then other people say that it feels like old formula stiff Bernat. And I can kind of see that, but it's a lot softer in my opinion. But fortunately for me, I do have a stash back there. Can you see it? So I am slowly making my way through my stash. Not too quickly though, because we can't get it anymore. It was limited edition. So that is why mine came out so big. And then for the spikes on her, this is a mix of Elise Velluto yarn. Most of these are Elise Velluto. And then the orange is the coral color in the Sweet Snuggles Light that we also can no longer get at Michael's. So unfortunately, if you do not have these yarns at home, you will not be able to completely replicate my Nessie. And I use these colors specifically so that it would be as close of a replica to my sticker as it possibly could be. So even down to the spike color, I replicated it. I think that the spikes would look so cute on the dino version with the legs, but again, because I wanted it to look like my artwork, that is why I did the spikes on my Nessie. And then her face is really what drives home the fact that it is meant to be this sticker. I did not give her eyelashes. I very well could. I was debating whether or not I wanted to embroider them or whether I wanted to give her like really real nice, slutty, long, real fake lashes. But for now, I just left her eyelashes bald. But you might notice that her eyes are not just regular safety eyes. Well, they are, but I added a little zhuzh to them. So I took the biggest regular black safety eyes that I had in my stash. These are actually the same safety eyes that I used on Mushy Guy, if you've been around since the Mushy Guy days. But these, I want to say, are 30 or 35mm plain black eyes, but I went over them with some glitter paint just to give them a little shine. And then once that was dry, I also went over with a very thin brush and did just a little tiny bit of cream colored paint to make the little pupils, just like what she has in my illustration here. And then for her mouth, instead of embroidering, I went the felt route because I felt like it would just look better. And then I did also embroider the blush. So realistically, before I put the eyes into place, I should have gone over it with some epoxy, like some UV resin epoxy, so that they would not scratch or anything like that. I still might do that, but I don't know if I want to sell her. If I am going to end up selling her, I will go over just very, very delicately with some resin and UV it so that it just locks in all of this paint in here nicely. But I don't know, I just thought that she could maybe sit somewhere in my office kind of as like a little mascot, since we have the sticker version too. I also have her on apparel. I have a little shirt that says "I believe" with her on it, because if you're like me, then you also believe in Nessie. So right now on Instagram is the tester call for Nessie and Lassie, the modular dino / monster pattern. So unfortunately for some, if you do not have Instagram, you will not be able to participate in one of my tester calls, because I do all of the communicating with people through Instagram messaging. But if you do have Instagram and you're interested in testing her, run over to Instagram right now and go ahead and apply. The The pattern test call will probably close on Tuesday. So if you're seeing this on Tuesday or after, then it might already be closed, but go check. I will put my Instagram QR code as well as the handle on the screen right here. It's The Celestial Homebody, spelled the same way it is here on YouTube. But if you're watching me on the TV right now, just whip out your phone, take out your camera, and scan that QR code, and it will take you right to Instagram if you're not already following me. And then all of the instructions to apply to the pattern test are on my most recent post on Instagram. So I am very, very excited about her. She was a lot of work to get the shaping right. I tried so hard to shape her as closely to this as possible, including her stubby little body, the cheeks, how the cheeks ever so slightly puff out, the chest, what do you call this, curve. The only thing that I was not able to get identical is the tail, and that was not for lack of trying. I tried so many different ways, and I just could not get that S shape to look right. It just looked so phallic over and over again. So we just went with this slightly curved up tail. But yeah, let me know what you think of her. I think that she is freaking precious. Okay, say goodbye, Nessie. Okay, so the next commission that I had was, this is a fun one. So this is another character doll. And if you've been around for a little bit, then you know how much I love making character dolls. So Erica reached out to me and requested a character that actually came with an already written pattern on Etsy. And so I did not need to freehand one of the dolls that I normally do, because that's normally what I do. I have like a base pattern that I kind of follow but change depending on the character. This one was like a full pattern written specifically for this character. I will hold him up before I tell you who it is and you can take a guess. All right, you ready? He's a little creepy. And his teeth are not glued on. This was just a mock-up because I just wanted to see how they looked. So this is Alastor from Has Been Hotel. Has Been Hotel is an Amazon Prime adult cartoon, and this is a character from that show, and he has yellow teeth, so I need to get some yellow felt. This might actually be the very first time in this week's Makes History that I'm showing you a not completed plushie. This is a whip, actually. I also need to glue on his little antlers, so he also has little antlers. I think that these are too small. Again, I was just doing a tester cut, so I just hand cut these, but I think that they're too small, so I need to make new little antler things and glue those on. And then I also need to get some not custom felt, but different color felt, because this character also has a little monocle that goes over this eye right here that is like a darker red, and so I need to get like a maroon color felt because I still have more of this red, but I just feel like that would be weird. It would just kind of blend in with his eyes. So this one was time consuming, specifically on the hair. So I don't know if you can tell, but each and every one of these strands of hair was individually made and individually sewn on. And the reason that is because the pattern led me astray big time. I am not familiar with this pattern creator. I think it's called Yarn Tuning, which is a very cute name. But it did not seem like this was the type of pattern that, I don't want to sound mean. I was going to say that a lot of thought was put into. I don't think there were testers for it. Maybe there were. I don't want to be mean. But there were quite a few places in the pattern that I had to go off book and do my own thing because they just did not fit with this. For example, I had to make the arms like 3 rounds longer because they were just little itty bitty stubs as written in the pattern. Also, there were absolutely 0 progress pictures. All of the pictures in the pattern were of the finished doll just from different angles, and not very good quality pictures either. So I did have a hard time trying to figure out what they were telling me to do. That issue became incredibly apparent when it came to the hair, because I did the original as written hair cap first. So it's pretty much just a little tiny circle. It's like a yarmulke, and then these short little strands. And these strands, as written, were only this long. You can see them kind of sewn in there. But then I sewed it onto his head, and I'm like, he looks like the what's that, the character? I'm a little lad who loves berries and cream. He looked like that guy. And I was like, this will not do. So then I had to go back, and I didn't want to frog everything that I had already done. Oh, his teeth are falling off. He's losing teeth, everybody. This is why it's important to go to the dentist. Although you don't want to ask me about my dentist experience. I've been having some issues lately on that side of my life, but I digress. So I had to individually make strands and then individually sew them on to compensate for this awful short bob hairstyle that this character had. Also, there were not enough strands to cover his head, so it looked like he was also simultaneously balding. It was just not a good look. So the hair ended up being a lot more work than what I had been in for. And I think in hindsight, I probably should have just done my normal strategy of using my doll base pattern and then modifying it to how I felt like it should go. And I think that I would have had a little bit better of a time. The ears came out about this tall, despite the picture having the ears about this big. The written pattern, it just did not seem very well done to me, and that's just my honest feedback. If you are interested in purchasing this pattern, that is part of my job here on YouTube, is just to give you guys my honest feedback and opinions about things, and whether or not you take them is up to you. So I am very, very proud of his eyes. I actually specialty ordered these red pupil eyes. You might know how much I love the white pupil eyes, but I had never used red pupils before. So I did have to specialty order them from Amazon because I didn't have any in my stash. And when they arrived, they were a lot smaller than what I was thinking they would be. They're 18 millimeter. I don't know what I was thinking. I just thought that they would take up more space on his face, which is another one of the reasons why I added the smile to him. Number one, because it suits the character, but also number two, because it looked a little bit bare down there. So to compensate for the small size, I freehand cut some red felt to go around his eyes, because the character that I showed you a picture of, I'll put it back up here, has kind of like a shadowed look on his eyes and actual small like slits for eyes. So I thought that it actually was appropriate for this character. And then I went in with a fine paintbrush and some black acrylic paint and did this eyebrow shadow thing. I don't know, eyeliner type thing. I don't really know what's happening here, but I do think that it matches the character nicely, which is exactly what we were going for. So this is definitely a whip. He just lost another tooth. I don't know that I will show him to you again before he is off to his forever home. Jovi just hit the tripod. Sorry if I got a little wiggly there. But just know that this upcoming week, I need to be getting some felt to finish him up. But this is Alastor. So he's going to be on his way home soon. So the last commission that I have done that I wanted to show you guys today is actually from Melissa, who is a beautiful, wonderful member of the Cosmic Couch Club. And she messaged me on Instagram and asked if I could do a commission for her grandson. And she sent me this bunny type creature pattern. I guess you'd call it a bunny. And asked if I could make this for her grandson. So it was very late last night when I started working on this, and I was reading this pattern, and I'll put a line of it right here so that you can see what I'm talking about. And I started on the head, and it was creating an actual cone. And I was like, am I having a stroke? What is happening? Why am I having such a hard time reading this pattern? I had to restart 4 different times on the head. And I was using Sweet Snuggles Light, the very, very soft, sheddy kind, so I couldn't even frog it. I wasted over a half a skein of yarn just trying to follow this pattern. And I messaged Melissa at like 1 o'clock in the morning, and I was like, is it just me, or is this like impossible to read? And she said, I am so sorry. And I'm like, it's not your fault, but do you mind if I like go off script and just freehand some parts? And she actually said, actually, that Forest Guardian that you did in this week's makes is kind of along the lines of something that I would be interested in looking for. So could you just do that and just add some accessories to it? And I said, absolutely. So she only had a couple of requested that we use rainbow, which was perfect because I have some rainbow variegated big twist plush. She also requested that we added some eyelids to it, and also that we bedazzle it. And I said, bedazzle, you say? Don't threaten me with a good time. So I started brainstorming what I could do to make this Forest Guardian meet all of her criteria, and I asked her if she would be okay with a slight clown vibe to it, and she said that she trusted my creative vision. So enough foreplay, I'll just show you what it looks like. So here is this Forest Guardian. We'll wrap the tail around like this. And I absolutely love the way that he turned out. So as I mentioned, I use Sweet Snuggles Light for the body in this cream color. So this Forest Guardian, despite it taking longer than the last one because of the accessories, this came out smaller than the last one because with Sweet Snuggles, I have to size down my hook an entire millimeter. Normally, I use a 6.5 millimeter. Like for the last Forest Guardian, I use the Elise Voluta with a 6.5. And then on this one, I have to use a 5.5 because the Sweet Snuggles is just so... what's the word I'm looking for? It's not dense like the Elise Voluto is or like the Premier Chenille is. It doesn't have a lot of fluff on the string, so I get holes when I use my normal size hook that I use for literally every other yarn. So I did size down on the hook, so that is why he is a tad bit smaller, but did take some more time, specifically because of this ruffly bit. So she wanted me to use this big twist plush in some way on this creature here. So we did it on the horns, and then I wanted to bring it in elsewhere as well. So I created this little ruffly bit, and that is why I asked her, would you be okay with a slight clown theme? Because I was looking through my little accessory tub where I keep all of my gemstones, but I found some of these red pom-poms that I had used on a clown bunny that I made a few months ago. And I thought that the red would just add some cuteness to it and kind of break up all of the cream that we had going on his body here. So she said that she was okay with that. So I'm happy that I did do these little red button type things. And I absolutely am in love with this little ruffle. It just adds such a flair of a whimsy, you know. I wish that I had more fur colors. My fur colors are quite limited, and most of them are natural colors, but I definitely wanted to keep the fur on the tail because that is part of the charm of this pattern. So I used this light green, and I think that it would have been better with a darker green. I also have the moss green that I used on the other Forest Guardian, but that was like too muted. I just felt like this one went better. So although it's not a perfect match, it still is a little bit of color on the tail. And then for the inside of the ears, I used this Chenille Brights. I think it's called Bright Violet. I think. Look at Katie getting a name of yarn right for once. If I did get that right, watch it not be right. This is actually one of the softest skeins that I have of the Premier Chenille Basics. I don't know what it is about this color, but every time I get a skein of it, it is so incredibly soft. So it's just a pleasure working with. But because the Sweet Snuggles Light is so much thicker than this yarn on the interior of the ear, I had to go off script for the outside of the ears and add an extra round to them so that they would line up well enough for me to crochet them together. But it all worked out in the end. And as she requested, I did bedazzled him and also added the eyelids. I also gave him gold eyes. I was contemplating painting rainbow eyes, but I would have had to have waited for those to dry, and then I wouldn't have been able to show you today. So I just went for a gold glitter disc to bring in some yellow, since he doesn't really have much yellow on him elsewhere. So we did that, and then I also added some super rosy cheeks with my e.l.f. blush compact that you guys know that I love, and I blush up almost all of my plushies that are light in color. But because of the light clown theme, I wanted to go like really heavy, not like a feathered blush look, which is normally what I do on plushies. I wanted to do really heavy, like a circle. So that is precisely what I did. And then I just used these Walmart gemstones and super glued them. This is going to a teenager, so it's not, I don't have to worry about like the gemstones coming off to a little kid or anything like that. I wouldn't do that if it was going to a small child. And then at the top, I was looking through my gemstones and I was going to do a circle, but actually with the way that these turned out, I thought that the teardrop just fit better right there. And then I also added a little bitty green gem at the top, because in my head I was thinking like, okay, if there's lore for this character, maybe this is some sort of species of forest guardian, and then like the gemstone on their forehead matches their tail color. So that's why I picked green. This was all going through my head 20 minutes ago when I was making this. Actually, it's been a lot longer than 20 minutes ago, but you get what I mean. So this is the back of him. Woo! I did do the longer tail on this one, so it can wrap around this way, or this way, or this way. Oh no, not that way. Don't do that. So thank you so much, Melissa, for entrusting me with such a fun creature, as well as giving me some creative freedom to kind of do what I wanted. I hope that you love him, and I hope that your grandson loves him as well. Speaking of our amazing members, endless thanks to our members in the Cosmic Couch Club and the Cosmic Couch Club Plus. You guys keep this little galaxy spinning. If you are interested in joining the coziest couch in the cosmos and getting exclusive channel perks like seeing videos early before they premiere, there is a link down in the description box below. So before I say goodbye to you today, I have so many sticker orders that are going out that I would just like to share with you guys, just to show my appreciation for all of you who have placed orders. So we'll go through these quick. So Erica is the first one, and this is actually the future owner of Alastor. But along with Alastor, I'm also sending this little Let Me Cook Remy sticker. Thank you so much again, Erica, for entrusting me with this fun project as well. Next, we have Nadia, and Nadia actually purchased my Malibu Barbie dragon. So she's going to be going home to Nadia. And then along with the dragon, she also got a couple stickers. So we have a crochet helper sticker. We have a yarn chicken champion with the brown chicken sticker. A lot of you guys have gotten the shirts with this on it and have told me that you love it. So thank you for that feedback. She got 2 Snitches Get Stitches stickers. She got a little Katie the Celestial Homebody and Chibi Ryan the Cheeseball King sticker. And finally, she got a sticker of my art, which was the Animal Crossing crossover with Pokemon. And that is Xylo, the Umbreon Animal Crossing villager. Look at how sparkly he is. This is the skin of a killer, Bella. Sorry for the change. My SD card was full, so we're now on my phone. Is my hair getting frizzier the longer that I sit here? Very possibly. Okay, next up is Andrea, and Andrea got a Pink Pony Club sticker. Look at that sparkle. Next we have Camilla or Camila. These stickers are going all the way to Denmark, so I hope that they get there safely. She got a Yarn Chicken Champion blue chicken sticker. She also got a Snitches Get Stitches sticker. She got my Highland Coo sticker, Kevin the Mushy Boy, as well as Nessie. Then we have Aqua. Aqua, you gotta let me know, is that your legal given name? Because your parents are badasses if so. Aqua got a professional hobby collector sticker and a Snitches Get Stitches sticker. This one is definitely one of my most popular designs. I actually need to make some more of them, as well as the Remy Let Me Cook stickers. Last week I did not make any stickers, so I am out of a lot of them. So that is what I'm going to be doing simultaneously tonight while editing this video. Things to show you. All right, it is 10:06 p.m. This is a pretty usual Saturday night for me. I'm editing my video while simultaneously working on a tester call post, while simultaneously packing orders, while simultaneously making stickers and printing stickers. Next up, we have Laura, and Laura got a Celestial Homebody logo, as well as a little chibi Katie and Ryan. Just so you guys know, Ryan really likes it when you purchase both of us. He gets really salty when you only purchase me. And I was like, well, you make your own YouTube channel and maybe people will want you to purchase you. Next up, we have Adeline, and Adeline got a Cries Easily Coquette sparkly cake. Then we have Angela. And Angela got a professional hobby collector sticker, a crochet helper sticker, and a Snitches Get Stitches. We have another Andrea, and this Andrea got a Kevin the Mushy Boy sticker, as well as a little chibi Katie and Ryan. Then we have Danielle. Danielle got a Mushy Boy sticker, a unicorn Labubu sticker, Lafufu sticker, a crochet helper, a Snitches Get Stitches, as well as my personal favorite, the Nessie. By the way, all of these stickers are available on my Etsy and on my website if you are interested in any of them. Next is Lilia, that's such a pretty name, and she got both variant colors of Yarn Chicken Champion, the blue and the brown, as well as 2 crochet helper stickers. You must have a friend that you're giving one of each of these to, am I right? I told you guys we had a lot, and I am so grateful. Next, we have Kristen. Kristen got a crochet helper sticker, a Kevin the Mushy Boy sticker, a Pink Pony Club sticker, and a Snitches Get Stitches. I think this sticker has been in every order so far, pretty much. I told you, it's definitely the most popular. I never know if these sticker orders are coming from people who watch the channel or just stumble across the listings on Etsy. This one I know for sure is a subscriber. This is Amy, and Amy got a professional hobby collector sticker, as well as a Celestial Homebody logo and little Katie avatar. This is what makes me know that they're definitely a subscriber. And then a brown Yarn Chicken Champion sticker. Next we have Jenny, who got a little Katie chibi sticker. Savannah got a virtual pet parent sticker. Misty got a Let Me Cook sticker. Buffy, as in the Vampire Slayer, got 2 Pink Pony Club stickers, and she's actually a return customer, so I love it when that happens. Thank you for coming back and shopping with me again. We're almost done, 2 more. Ashton got a blue Yarn Chicken Champion, as well as 2 Cries Easily Coquette cakes. Actually, Ash and I consider us friends now. We met originally at Comic-Con and again at PopCon, and Ash is also a wonderful Cosmic Couch Club member. So if you see Crescent Studios in the comment section with the member badge, that is Ash, a friend. Oh, by the way, I changed member badges. I will put them up on the screen here. So if you're a member, you get the little badge next to your name. Just so you guys know, I did change them. So if you see that your symbol changed, that is why. I just decided to make them more cosmic since we are part of the Cosmic Couch Club. And then last but certainly not least, we have Tiffany. This order actually just came in right before I sat down, so it came in just in time for me to show it off. She got a Let Me Cook sticker, a Crochet Helper Sits Bright sticker, a little Nessie, a non-waterproof Snitches Get Stitches, a non-waterproof Webkinz Virtual Pet Parent sticker, and a non-waterproof Passenger Princess license sticker. Thank you all again to everybody who is supporting both my Etsy and my website. It means the absolute world to me. Please know that you do not need to spend any money on my shop for me to love you just the same. You just being here watching this video right now means plenty to me, and I never want to ask for anything more from you other than to just hit the thumbs up button and leave me a comment, because I love interacting with you guys. I don't get out much and I don't have very many friends, so honestly, even if you just comment an emoji, it makes my day. Thank you all so much for being here and hanging out with me on this week's Makes episode. I promise I will get to responding to all of your guys' comments on Tuesday. In the meantime, I hope that you all have a wonderful week, and I will see you on the next one. Bye!